Hi, my name's Tendai Musikavanhu. I have been living in Wellesley for nearly 10 years. I'm married and have five children. And I started off running my first marathon in the marathon with the coldest weather in 30 years in 2018. And this is my second marathon. I was born in the UK, born in London, not too far from Arsenal football ground. But originally and ethnically, I'm a Shangaan from South Africa, from Limpopo province, and moved from Johannesburg to the United States. I'm in asset management and investment banking, and I started off as being a 300-pound, in fact, to be exact, 286-pound dad that couldn't run half a mile to save his life. And through a great but very sad coincidence with a friend of mine, a life-changing coincidence where his wife passed away and he wanted to commemorate her by running the Tough Mudder. He collected a whole lot of us Worsley fathers together, and we ran that very first Tough Mudder in 2013, and I lost about 40 pounds, I think it was, in a matter of weeks. There was one memorable moment I wanted to share in that very first Tough Mudder I ever ran, and that was I was running with a couple of guys who are ex-Marines, some of them ex-military, top brass guys, and we got to one of the obstacles. It was the first obstacle I looked like really failing badly. It was called the Berlin Wall, and I had to climb this thing, and imagine me semi-fat, and just trying to get over this hurdle. And my buddy, who is an ex-Marine, turned around to me and he said, "Use your legs, not your hands." And he showed me the technique. And before I knew it, I was up over that wall. And what got me wasn't the fact that I got over the wall, which was, encouraging enough, but just the cheers that were there around the sort of 12 to 15 guys who were this group that was called the Night's Watch Band, a group of Wellesley fathers, who just cheered because I cleared this thing and were so invested in me succeeding, probably more invested in greater cheers than any of the events each one of us had individually done. A lot of training for the Boston Marathon is dodging ice and snow and black ice, and running when your drink that you use for energy freezes in your pocket, and when your throat gets sore from breathing really cold air. That's what it means to be a New England Boston runner. I've got two daughters and three boys, and my younger daughter was just grimacing yesterday when she looked at how dark it was yesterday after sunset, and I was telling her I was going to do three sprints of 2 miles each, and then a warm up and warm down. She just grimaced and just shook her head. They see me putting on my shoes and strapping and stretching, and eventually just getting out there. And I think it's encouraged them to see that sometimes you can face your worst fears on a daily basis. Sometimes you suck it up and get on. So last year I ran for Metco, which has been for over 50 years now, focused on getting people from the inner city, typically people of color, into communities with better schools such as Wellesley. And very happy to have represented them last year. This year I'm running for ABC, which stands for A Better Chance Wellesley. Very excited about that because they're focused on leadership. A lot of their values and mine overlap in terms of finding the best talent, the best leadership out there, giving them a stable home within the Wellesley community, and giving them an opportunity, therefore, to get the best education, arguably one of the best school systems in the Commonwealth and probably in the Union. Running for a cause like Metco ABC, where in a country that on paper is the freest country in the world. And what's remarkable is just how much foresight the founding fathers had, again on paper, even though one can argue and debate about the fact that it didn't start off as a perfect union because not all of its citizens were included. But the fact that people had that much foresight, and yet today we live with a situation where there's a real hardening of strata in society. There's a very classist structure that goes completely against those values and ideals. In America, one of the mottos, or the motto is for the Senate, for the President, for Congress is E pluribus unum, Latin for from many comes one. And that's the strength of America, is that it's got these different states, these different people that get together and form one nation. And yet, in America, there continues to be an exclusion of some of the best undiscovered talent because poorer people, and often people of color, are excluded from actually being actively involved in society because from the very get-go, they're disadvantaged through education that is tied to their property values. This country has to do better than that. It has to be able to realize the best of the best from wherever they come, whether they are in wealthy families in Beverly Hills or in some really challenged communities in Detroit or Mississippi. The best need to be given a chance from the get-go and not excluded. Britain learned that lesson to some degree by realizing that some of its best inventors during the Victorian era did not come from blue blood royal family and connection. They often came from very poor kids in Scotland and the industrial heartland of England. A lot of the best inventors and best minds came from communities you wouldn't think such amazing ideas came from during Britain at the height of its industrialization. I'm excited about the future of America coming from the fact that it allows the best of the best to emerge from wherever they come from, whichever skin color they may find themselves in, whatever gender they may be. Somebody really summarized it well for me last year when they said that the actual marathon is a celebration of all the training that you go through. This year's been interesting, it being the second training, the fact that I realize I now have to stretch and keep myself limber so I don't get so many injuries or strained muscles, etc. There's always that doubt that you think, oh, okay, did I just manage to do it by luck the first time? And so there's that question of having to do it a second time to prove that is not true at all. But yeah, the training has been really interesting. I think there have been times where it's been pouring with rain and you're drenched, and somehow you just keep on going. My delight was really reached, its peak earlier this week when someone who wants to remain anonymous, a foundation, decided to donate $10,000, up to $10,000 to my running cause, which is very humbling. And the way they want to give this is that for every dollar that we raise, up to $10,000, they will equal it. So in other words, for everybody else out there who gives, your dollar behaves like $2 when you give it to this cause, to ABC and my marathon running. And so that's the money target. Last year we raised about 9,800. Our initial target was 4,000, so we more than doubled our target last year. And then I had a running target of running in 5 hours or less, and I ran all of that in 4 hours 52. So this year I've gone on record, public record, saying that we want to raise more than the 9,800. So we want to raise at least 10,000 this year, Lord willing. And I would also like to run better than 5:52. I want to not only break the 5-year barriers I did last year, but break the 4-hour 52 barrier this year. But talking about life, I'm a born-again Christian, and I believe that God made everybody equal out there, and that everybody should have a fair crack at making and having a good life. And whatever money we can do to raise the awareness that we don't live in a society where equal opportunity exists, and so wherever we can actually raise up our fellow human beings to a place where they can actually excel, and as they shine, all of us shine. And I'll end with this there's a South African saying, umuntu kabantu, which means a person only really fully discovers their humanity in the context of other people. And one of the things I think education needs in this country is to be able to allow everybody to have access to a decent education, and that we shouldn't really have education tied to property values alone. We don't know what we're losing by not allowing the best brains to go to school and have a great chance at becoming the best people they can be. So because of this generous donation, I really encourage you to give generously. You're going to see the link coming up on the screen around about now. I don't know whether it's here, there, or wherever it is, but please click on that link and give generously, and let's beat last year's record.